Good morning, friends, and welcome to my September garden. The sun is just coming up. I haven't been in the garden for a few days because our schedule is slam-packed. So we're going to go through the garden, see what there is to pick. I'm fully expecting the beans to be ginormous, but we're going to see what's there to pick, and we're going to see how things are going in our September garden. There is still lots of food happening here. We were getting some cooler temps, which was really nice, and I was starting to work on getting our gardens back into shape for the fall and the winter. And then the last couple days, it's gotten back up to the low 90s, high 80s. So we're trying to get this done before it gets too hot out today. So I think what we're gonna do is just start with our beans and then work our way through the garden and see what we can find. Our bean trellis is loaded. I don't know if you can tell, but it's actually weighing it down from the heaviness of the amount of beans and plants on here. We also have more beans in the back garden. So let's get these picked and then we'll move to our next spot. Two-gallon buckets of green beans just from this little patch. And I have another section of green beans in the back garden. Now, I'm always gonna miss some. So if I see some on here that are as big as this, I leave them on there because they're kind of tough to eat at that point when they are really filled out like that. So we leave these on here to save for seed for next year. And then we don't have to spend any money on seeds. The humidity is so high right now that you can just feel it in the air. All right, so the corn, I left the rest of the corn out here. I wanted it to dry so that we can use it for chicken food because I already had 2-gallon bags of corn in the freezer and we don't really eat that much corn. It's just not something that we have a lot of usually. So I left the rest of this out here because I wanted it to get dried to use for supplementing our chicken feed during the wintertime. I'm gonna need to go grab a big basket to gather up this corn. This was our little black bean patch back here. We've already gotten 2-quart jars of dried black beans in the pantry. There's a few more on here that I can grab. And it looks like they're kind of starting to have a little bit of a comeback with the cooler weather, that they are starting to grow again. So there's some on here that are still, they're not dry yet. You can see they're still pretty green. So we want to take the ones that are dry and then we're going to leave the rest of them on here and come back and get those once they're dried out. It's really simple to just leave them on and let them dry and then harvest and put them away versus trying to get them when they're still green and then trying to dry them and put them away. Some of the cabbages that got left in here from the spring are starting to form little heads now, which is kind of funny. They've been in here since the spring and they didn't do anything. They were still super, super tiny, and then with the temps dropping down cooler, they have started to form heads. So we'll see if they get big enough for us to eat or do anything with them. We have our peppers next in line over here, and I want to grab some green peppers. I have a couple gallon bags of peppers in the freezer that are mostly red or yellow or habanada peppers, so I want to get some green peppers in there. Does anybody else get super itchy when you pick beans, like green beans? I don't know why, but I get so itchy when I pick green beans. We're gonna grab some of these peppers. there's a couple more big green ones down here. Let's go grab those. There, now I've got a gallon bucket of green peppers we can slice up and put in the freezer. To recap this back section, we have the cabbages that were in here from spring. Some of them just need to get pulled out completely. We have some butternut squash, which some of those might be ready to put in storage. We have broccoli that needs to get pulled out, green peppers, yellow peppers. It's a mixed variety in there. And then we had our black bean section. And we had a couple more bell peppers over here. We have 2 rows of corn, and then we had sweet potatoes all through here, which need to come up sometime soon. And we had cherry tomatoes and Roma tomatoes, which are starting to make a comeback with the cooler weather as well. I think we'll leave these butternut squashes on just a little bit longer, wait for this to dry out a little bit more, and then we will put them up. Alright, so we've got this whole basket of corn. There's still a couple left on there that are still a little bit green. They're not quite dry yet, so we're going to leave those ones on there. But we've had a visitor coming to our garden, snacking on our stuff, so I want to make sure I pull as much as I can. Now, because it is so humid and these aren't super dry, I'm going to lay these out on a table in the garage so that they have room to dry. They're not all up on each other making more moisture, because if they're all left in here in their current state where they're a little bit moist from the humidity in the air, they will mold. So we want to make sure we lay them out on a table to dry so they're not going to be holding in that moisture and causing mold growth. Our next little section here, we have our tomatoes on the fence line, and you'll see some of our sweet potatoes are coming through the fence line. Aren't those so pretty? I think these are so pretty. They're in the Morning Glory family and they are beautiful, but we've got random pumpkins mixed in there, decorative pumpkins not for eating, and we've got some more corn, which I should have grabbed that when I had my big basket out here. And then we have put in here some of our fall plantings. We've got a mixture of cabbages, cauliflowers, and they are looking pretty good. Most of them. There's a couple that are looking kind of scraggly, but most of them are looking pretty good. The pumpkins are looking great. And then along this fence line, I put in our blue shelling peas right over here. And they're looking real great too, coming up really nicely. Usually around in August, our tomatoes will stop producing because of the heat, and then as the weather starts to cool off, they'll start producing again. So you see there are a ton of tomatoes on here. It is absolutely covered in tomatoes. So these will keep producing until we get our first frost. Our average first frost is the first week of November. Now that can vary. Some years it's earlier, some years it's later, but this will still give us tomatoes all the way through until that first frost. We'll probably get some more tomatoes when we get to the very front of our garden. We have more tomatoes up there, but they're looking pretty good. I'm gonna gather up this corn and get it in the garage with the other corn, and then I'll be back in just a minute. I was just noticing while I was picking the corn, it kind of looks like a pear tree, doesn't it, with the leaves? I'm curious what this little tree is growing in my garden. I might leave it for a little bit and see what happens. But the pumpkin is going all the way through, and there's actually some sweet potato vines out there too. Overachievers in the garden this year. Now we are on to the third section of our big garden. This row has our beefsteaks. It had cucumbers. All the cucumbers are done. I left some on there to save for seeds for next year, but they are done producing for this year. Some of these tomatoes are starting to make some more. They are small, but they are food, so I will take it. This row had our broccoli. It was pretty much done, but you can see with the cooler weather, it's starting to put out new leaves. You can eat the leaves. It's not my favorite part of it, but you can eat them. So these might do something. They're here simply because I just haven't pulled them out. I didn't need the space. And if I don't need the space and something is still alive, I'll leave it in just to see if it does something, because it doesn't hurt. Behind our rose bush back here, I had planted some more of those decorative varieties of pumpkins, which they're super cute. I have way more than I need, so I've invited our family to come over and pick some if they want. Aren't they cute? They're really cute. And there's some that have like a variegated color that are orange and yellow, which are really pretty. Like there's one right over there. So I have these here. I really need to get all of these picked. I'm debating if I'm going to do it today. I think I'm going to pick everything else, and if I have time, I'll get these picked today. If not, I'll try to get them picked tomorrow so that they can dry a little bit, and then we can put them out on the farm stand if we want to, or we can decorate and just give them away. This rose bush has turned into a monster. I need to cut this thing back so bad when we get to fall. So in this row, we had our pumpkins, and then we had a variety of squash. We had spaghetti squash and butternut squash. My spaghetti squash did less well than I was hoping it would do. It seemed like it was getting sunburnt and then starting to rot. Like one side of it would have like a white spot, and then it would just kind of rot. I did get like 3 or 4 spaghetti squashes, but I was hoping for a lot more because we eat a lot of spaghetti squash. But my amaranths have done really, really well. They're so pretty, so pretty. I've started saving seeds from these. So you can, oh, there's a little wormy. You can, when they get big, here, I'll show you a bigger one. When they get big, their seeds are down below the flower. So all I have to do is rub down here and the seeds will come out. Do you see the little black seeds? And I haven't actually used them, but I've been told you can use them. I would imagine you can use them like poppies, but I will do some more research before I actually use them for anything. But I've been told you can use these and eat them, but I will double check and make sure that that is correct and let you know what I find out. That is a potato. Apparently we missed some potatoes that were in here. Well, we have some potatoes growing. I'll take it, that's cool. And some of the butternut squashes, we had a lot of earwigs. We get a lot of earwigs in the garden, so I come out and I try to turn them because that seems to help deter them. This one could probably come off. It seems pretty dry. Yep. This one can go up. This one we'll have to eat. So since I broke the stem off, we'll have to eat this one pretty soon because it won't stay well in the cupboard if the stem's not on it. But that's alright because we love butternut squash, and I've been wanting some butternut squash soup. There's another potato coming up. Well, that's funny. So we've got all of the squashes in here. We've got a good bit of butternut squashes. I actually have a lot of butternut squashes in the pantry. They've done really well. Yeah, see. That one actually doesn't have any holes. It's just small, but it should be okay. But yeah, the earwigs will get in there, and then it will get destroyed like this. That one's destroyed. That one needs some more time, but the stem is dead. So we might see, I don't know if that one will ripen up or not, but it doesn't hurt to try. Spotted this out of the corner of my eye. Ooh, look at it. That is a nice looking jalapeno. Oh, it looks real good. I actually didn't make any salsa this year. Just never got around to it. Everything, all my tomatoes just got chopped and put in the freezer, and then I made a batch of sauce when the freezer got full, and now my freezer is full again. But I want to wait until I have all of my tomatoes so that I don't have to wash all of the parts again. A few big watermelons still hanging on. One in the green beans too. Another big watermelon over here. And it is going all through the fence. I don't know if you can see, but it is like way out there, way out there. This watermelon is taken over, and it's actually planted over here. It's going all the way. There's a nice pumpkin. So some of these bigger pumpkins I actually grew to be for the sheep because they love pumpkins, and pumpkin is a great dewormer. So through the winter time, these store really well. I'll just leave them in the garage, and I'll pick up ones from Halloween and stuff like that, and I'll just every now and then just throw them in a pumpkin for a treat. Got a bunch more watermelons in this row. These ones are the smaller sugar baby ones. These ones actually are so much sweeter than the big ones. These ones are so good. They're really, really, really good. They're very sweet. Let's see. That sounds like it's about ready. Let's see. It didn't pull off, so I'm going to leave it there for another day or two because I still have 2 watermelons in the house. We have been eating so much watermelon. Well, hello, little garden spider. I love these guys. We have a bunch of them this year. We had like 2 or 3 last year, and this year we have a bunch of them. They are so pretty. So we're getting to the end of the garden in the big garden. This row I have a lot of flowers and basils, and I had a lot of melons. We've got a lot of cantaloupes. We have sherbet in the freezer, holy basils. This is a couple of our holy basils. They are really big. We're gonna need to start saving seeds from these soon. We've already started saving seeds from the zinnias and the amaranth. And I saw this when I came out today. So this basil is starting to go to seed, and I think I'm gonna let it because I don't have any more Genovese basil seeds left. I think it'll be fine because, well, I don't know. It's really close to the holy basil, so I don't know if it would, I don't know. Maybe I should just buy new seed. I'm not sure. I haven't decided, but again, it doesn't hurt to try. But I need to get out here and cut these basils. We have gotten a lot of basil this year. They have done really, really well. Look how big they are. And I've already cut them like a lot and dried them. But the basils are doing really, really good. More basils. I already cut all the sunflower heads off. They are dried in the garage, and they are ready to get the seeds taken out. You know what, actually, I was wanting to make a pesto, and I haven't done that this year. And I don't think I have time to do that today. So I think what I'll do is wait to cut the basil until tomorrow and make the pesto tomorrow because I may have more time to get that done. All right, so we are to our last row of the garden in our big front garden. So we have tomatoes all through here. I see green ones. We've got some green tomatoes on there. These are beefsteak tomatoes. They are not starting to blush yet, so we're gonna leave all of those there. We have some zinnias and some amaranth all through here. Roma tomatoes, which I see a few green ones. I see one red one, so I might just grab that red one. But I think that's all of the Romas on this row that we're gonna get today. All right, so I'll just show you really quickly my mess in my urban tea garden. It's a mess. I have started to weed it. It's gonna be a winter project because being out here in 90 degrees weeding is not for me. I can do other stuff, but I'm not sitting out here weeding when it's that hot. So our urban tea garden is a mess, and it's fine. Ant colony has moved into one of my ginger pots, so we'll have to be careful when we dig that up. It's just, it's a mess. Don't worry about it. I'll get to it. And that side's a mess. Wintertime is when I refresh the gardens, do the weeding, do the pruning, do all of those things. Try to get the mulching done in the off season too when it's not so hot out. So we'll get all that stuff caught up in the wintertime. We need to get back there and get the fennel seed. I still have plenty in the cupboard from last year, but I don't want it to go to waste, and I don't want it to plant more fennel because I have enough. So I need to get in there and get the fennel seed up. Our elderberry bush did really well. Honestly, there was a lot on there that I didn't get, and I still put 2-gallon bags of elderberries in the freezer. I haven't made syrup yet because, again, our schedule is packed and very busy, but I have them in the freezer so they're ready to go when I need to make elderberry syrup. You have some porch zucchinis out here too. I started them in a pot on the porch so that if we get some cool temperatures before they are producing for us, I can pull them into the greenhouse or something versus if they were planted in the ground. I have a couple more things that I have started for fall. We have this whole tray of spinach and this whole tray of Brussels sprouts. I probably am going to start some more Brussels sprouts because they don't seem like they're germinating very well. I have a couple popping up, but not very many. And the spinach is kind of spotty as well, but these were seeds that I have saved from a couple years ago, so they might not sprout as well because they are older seeds. So I'm probably going to do another tray of Brussels sprouts, We'll go through here and see which ones haven't germinated and start the seeds in those pots again. And it's not quite time for us to start lettuce yet because it is still so hot out and the lettuce doesn't like the heat. But pretty soon we'll be starting some lettuces too. All right, so we've got our corn all laid out here to dry. Nice and spread out on our table. And this is more of an Indian corn variety. I think I might have already said that, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself. But I don't want to bring these in the house because there may be bugs in here. But it's really pretty. I wanted to show you the colors. It's really pretty corn. This section I can start to feel better about. I have been working on this and it looks stellar. We got the walkway finished, so then I could finally get in here and figure out where stuff was going. So we got this area all cleaned up, started getting this area all cleaned up, getting our asparagus unburied, and it's looking good. So now we just need to get this mulched, and we're gonna go through and do all of this section over here, which is covered in Bermuda grass, and get it dug up. I'm actually gonna dig out what's in here and redo it, and trim the azalea bushes back in the winter time, and well, all that dog fennel needs to get dug out. That stuff is a mess. So all of that needs to get dug out, but this will be looking much better in a couple of months. So we are back to the back garden. I pulled out the stuff that was in here and we started putting rutabagas in, and those rutabagas are looking fantastic. They look great. So we are going to get these peppers out first. Got a good pit of peppers in the freezer. So what I've been doing too is coming out and getting green beans and peppers and making a saute mix with the two of them together. It's pretty good. So back here too, I had pole beans, green beans, and sweet corn all mixed together in here. We've been getting a lot of green beans, a lot of green beans. So we're gonna go through and pick all the green beans. We'll probably get at least another gallon bucket from this section, and we'll grab the sweet corn, and it's all dried out, so we're saving this sweet corn for seed for next year. I'm gonna have to go empty out my shirt before we keep going. It is a lot of green beans. We will not be wanting for green beans come wintertime. We've got plenty to keep us covered. I did notice there's another pear-looking tree growing in the back here. I'm wondering if it's one of those Bradford pears, but how would it have gotten here? I don't know. If you didn't know, the Bradford pears are an invasive species here in South Carolina, and they actually will, I think they'll give you a bounty if you turn them in. I'm gonna double check on that, but I have heard of places that you can trade in a Bradford pear and get a different tree because they want them gone so bad from here. Okay, phew. Oh, you know what? I didn't grab the corn yet. It's okay, I'll come back and get that in a minute. In this section, I had planted carrots. I had maybe like 3 or 4 that made it. It probably was because I missed a day of watering or something, and with the heat being so hot, if you miss a day of watering with these seeds being so little and being so close to the surface, they just don't make it. So I replanted all of this when we were having some cooler weather, and we've got a lot, I don't know if you can see them. Let me step over here. We've got a lot of carrot seeds coming up, and I didn't place these as carefully as I did the first time because I had such a bad germination. the first time, so I put them a little bit more thickly, so I might have to thin these out. But this is here to keep my cats from digging in the soil. We've got more carrots planted in here, and then in the back, these are Lincoln peas. They're a shelling pea, so I put these in here, and they'll grow up the trellis, and then we will have shelling peas to put in the freezer. Over here we have bee balm. There's a couple cabbages and stuff in there from last year that I just never took them out. We've got some marigolds, there's some strawberries. I have a bunch of bee balm that is dried in the house that will be saved for teas. That is all ready to go. And then in this last section over here, we are going to start planting our garlic very, very soon, which I need to bring some garlic for a friend of mine tonight when I go to work. And then we have our Abe Lincoln tomatoes. I only got maybe like 2 tomatoes off of it. I see one more green one right there, but they didn't really give me that much. I'm not sure why, but I didn't get, or I'm sorry, they aren't Abe Lincoln, they are Amish paste tomatoes. But I only got like 2 tomatoes off of those 2 plants. Not entirely sure why, but I've got seeds now for next year. They were planted here separately from all the other tomatoes so that their seeds wouldn't get cross-pollinated and they would stay paste tomatoes. Can you believe we started this at 8 o'clock this morning and it's 10:30 now, and we're just now finishing getting everything out of the garden? Whew. So I think that's pretty much everything going on in our garden right now. We do have our blueberry bushes and our grapevines and our blackberry bushes and our fruit trees, but they're not really doing anything right now. Once we get into the winter, usually around January or February is when I prune all of my fruit trees. The reason I do this is because the sugars are down in the roots, and when you prune it, then it makes it come back healthier and stronger, versus if you prune it in the summertime, all of the sugars are out in the leaves and it can hamper its growth. So this has been our garden right now in September. As you can see, we are still getting a ton of food from our garden, and really good watermelons, green beans, peppers, lots and lots of delicious things from our garden. So how is your garden doing in September? Where are you located at? I'd love to know what you're excited for. Have you started planting stuff for fall, or are you gonna skip it and take a break? I don't blame you if you do. I'm tired, but I have had a great time hanging out with you today, harvesting the garden. Now I'm gonna have to go spend some time in the kitchen getting all this stuff processed and put away. Thanks for hanging out today. It was really great to see you and spend some time with you. I'll see you next time.